Thomas lived a quiet, predictable life in the suburban neighborhood of Maplewood. On a damp Tuesday morning, he stepped out of his house, coffee in hand, heading for the local grocery store. He climbed into his SUV, turned the key, and prepared to back out of the driveway. But the moment the engine roared to life, a strange, high-pitched whimper pierced through the mechanical hum. Thomas froze. He immediately killed the engine, his heart racing. He stepped out, walked to the front of the vehicle, and slowly popped the hood. There, huddled, trembling against the battery, was a tiny ball of fur, an English Mastiff puppy with a unique tiger-striped brindle coat, soaked to the bone from the previous night's rain, its eyes clouded with crust and infection. It looked less like a dog and more like a prayer for help. Thomas gently scooped the shivering creature into his arms. "It's okay, little one," he whispered. He didn't go to the store. Instead, he walked straight back into the house. His daughters, Lily and Sophie, let out a collective gasp when they saw the pathetic state of the pup. "I found him under the hood," Thomas explained, placing the dog on a warm towel. While the girls rushed to fetch water, Thomas did the responsible thing. He spent the next 2 hours knocking on every door in Maplewood, describing the brindle puppy to neighbors. No one recognized him. Meanwhile, his wife Sarah had already posted a found dog notice on every local social media group, her face a mask of cold efficiency. When Thomas returned, the scene in the living room was heartwarming. Lily and Sophie were giggling, gently cleaning the puppy's eyes with warm cloths. But the atmosphere shifted the moment Sarah walked in. She stood by the door, arms crossed, her eyes narrowed with something that looked like pure resentment. "Any news?" she asked, her voice clipped. Thomas shook his head. "No one knows him, Sarah." She didn't miss a beat. "We can't keep him, Thomas. We need to do something immediately. This isn't a shelter, it's a home." Thomas looked at the girls' hopeful faces and then back at his wife. "Let him stay for a bit. Surely the owner will turn up." Sarah didn't argue further, but she shot the puppy a look of genuine disdain before walking away. For the next few days, Sarah was the picture of a reluctant host. Whenever the puppy approached her, she would step aside as if avoiding a puddle of toxic waste. She complained about the smell, the potential for ruined carpets, and the constant need for attention. "He needs to go," she would mutter every evening. She seemed to hate the very presence of the animal. But the girls were smitten, and Thomas stayed firm, insisting they wait for a claimant. Before we get to the shocking discovery that changed everything, I have to ask, have you ever judged someone's heart too quickly? If you're enjoying this journey of transformation, hit that subscribe button right now. It helps us bring more of these incredible stories to life. And trust me, you do not want to miss what Thomas saw through the window. "4 months had passed since the rainy morning in Maplewood. The puppy was no longer a shivering ball of fur. He was growing rapidly into a sturdy, energetic giant. One Friday, the girls had headed off to school, and Thomas announced he was leaving for a series of errands. He backed the car out, waving goodbye to Sarah, who stood at the door looking particularly annoyed that she was being left alone with that creature. However, 5 minutes down the road, Thomas realized he had left his phone and house keys on the kitchen counter. He drove back, parked a block away to avoid blocking the driveway, and walked up to the house. As he reached for the front door, he glanced through the large bay window of the living room. He froze in his tracks. Sarah wasn't cleaning or scolding. She was sitting on the floor, the dog's massive head resting in her lap. She was whispering sweet nothings into his ears, kissing the top of his head and hand-feeding him pieces of cooked chicken, one by one, with a look of pure, unadulterated love on her face. In that private moment, the cold Sarah had vanished, replaced by a woman who found a strange, silent comfort in the dog's presence. Bear wasn't just a stray to her anymore. He was the only one who didn't ask anything of her, yet gave her everything. Thomas felt a lump in his throat. He quietly stepped back, then rang the doorbell loudly. When Sarah opened the door, she was back to her cold self. She handed him his keys with a huff.
I am so incredibly frustrated that I have to spend all day with this bumbling idiot while you're out, she snapped, gesturing to the dog who was wagging his tail behind her. Thomas just smiled, took his keys, and drove to the corner. He parked, walked back stealthily, and watched again. Sure enough, the moment the car was gone, Sarah was back on the floor, hugging the dog as if he were her third child. She even let him lick her face, something she had claimed was disgusting just the night before. That evening, Thomas sat the girls down and whispered the plan. They were all in on it. When Sarah entered the room, Thomas looked up from his dinner with a serious expression. "Good news, Sarah. I've finally found the owner. A man called today. He's coming to pick him up tomorrow morning." The reaction was instantaneous. Sarah jumped up as if she'd been stung. "What? You're just going to give him back to someone who lost him for 4 months? Absolutely not." Thomas suppressed a grin. "Well, he is the owner, Sarah." She paced the room, her face red. "No, we have to find him a better home. Someone who actually knows how to care for a large breed like an English Mastiff." An hour later, Thomas received another call. "A wealthy family from the city wants him," he told her. "They have a huge estate." Sarah scoffed, her eyes welling up with tears she tried to hide. "He'll be lonely there. He needs a family. He needs us." Finally, Thomas couldn't hold it back anymore. He started laughing and told her everything he had seen through the window. Sarah froze, then slowly let out a laugh of her own, tears finally streaming down her cheeks. "I just didn't want to be the first one to admit it. I love him." They named him Bear. Today, Bear is 4 years old and 185 pounds of pure devotion. He is the ultimate Velcro dog, recognizing no such thing as personal space. Whether Sarah is reading in her chair or cooking in the kitchen, Bear is a permanent shadow, leaning his heavy weight against her legs, a constant reminder of the day they saved each other. But the best part? Once a month, Sarah hosts Bear's Night In. All the neighborhood dogs from Maplewood gather at their house for a massive puppy party. The living room transforms into a chaotic sea of wagging tails and tiger-striped fur. Sarah spends all week preparing homemade organic treats, ensuring every guest feels as welcome as Bear did on that first rainy night. They are allowed to play until they drop and sleep in a giant heap in the living room. Sarah is always right there in the middle of them, hand-feeding them treats. If this story reminded you that sometimes the hardest shells hide the softest hearts, please give this video a like and share your own rescue stories in the comments below. Do you have a bear in your life? Let us know.